I'm Guy Kramer, President and CEO of Hyperstealth Biotechnology Corporation, and in 2010 I figured out invisibility. Quantum stealth is a patent-pending light-bending material that works by bending the light so that only the background is visible and a target, such as a person, is removed from view when behind this material.
Things that have never happened in the history of the universe are happening right now.
So what do you see this change as?
Well, they're extremely positive. We finally are getting our act together, and they're allowing things to move. The entire Earth is moving into another dimension.
Welcome back to the coolest channel on YouTube, man. I got a crazy one for y'all in store today. Don't skip anything because you'll be lost in the sauce. But make sure y'all always going out here doing your own research, man. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. Just know we're going through this thing called life together. Good vibes only, people. Go ahead and subscribe. 50% of the people that watch this channel aren't even subscribed. Go ahead and join the team. Let's make it to 1 million. It's part of the dream. That was corny, but look, we gonna keep going though. I love y'all.
There's at least 70 different species, and probably more. That's not the ones we usually see, though. We see the little gray ones. They're about 4.5 feet tall. And we see the ones that are called the Nordics. They're about 7 feet tall, look like us, but they're invariably blonde hair and blue-eyed. They're one of the species that we have on ice.
We recovered alien bodies from that incident. Right? And what'd they do with them?
They autopsied them. The reason they had to create an electromagnetic facility is the fact that the EBEs are so advanced. They have special environment, special air. It's my understanding they can only last about 20 minutes in this air. I think we made a deal with them, and their ultimate, what they want to do is regenerate their own race. Now, apparently, they've either had some kind of nuclear accident, or they're on the backside of a evolutionary genetic curve, and they're going downhill instead of uphill. In other words, in the autopsies, of which I have 2, we found out that their digestive system is atrophied. They can't eat through their mouth anymore. You know how they eat? Well, these cattle mutilations, they take the hormones and the enzymes from those cattle and they spread it on their skin, and their skin absorbs the nutrients and then excretes the waste back through their skin. And if you read Whitley Strieber's book or listen to him talk, he talks about when he's seen them doing this to their skin, and they're scraping the waste off.
Now, these cattle mutilations, there's been a film made about
gross.
that, and perhaps in a couple of minutes we can take a look at some excerpts of that.
Yeah, Strange Harvest was a good one, but another thing that happened here on March 4th, there was a documentary released on the best UFO photos that have been taken so far, including 1 minute and 38 seconds of videotape. Now, what happened is in November, this guy took these photos, took it into the TV station. They thought it was great, but nobody would believe it. So they spent 3 months checking the validity of the, authenticating the videotape and checking out the credibility of the witness. And when they had it all down, they put out this documentary, 30 minutes. I mean, it's ironclad. They're here.
Yo, now that's the whole, they put in a whole new definition to like, hey man, you got some shit on your skin. Like, they literally do. Imagine, you know what I'm saying? Look, our situation ain't that bad when you compare it to others. Let's get it though.
So a man sailing, right, on a parachute, this is called parasailing. The man captures what looks like the Black Knight satellite, which is a UFO that's known to keep an eye over the Earth and observe Earth. And it just happens to be in California in this video. You could see him turning his head to see if he could get a good shot of it. Absolutely incredible and stunning footage. Share and like, guys.
Like, not when I'm in the sky though. Like, you feel me?
My God, I draw my face so fast if I tried to not.
UFO.
I tried to do more than walking down that
It's right here.
hill with all that heavy equipment.
UFO. Check out the UFO. It's way off in the woods. You can see the moon way over there.
As long
That's the moon. It's the UFO.
Do more than walking down that hill with all that heavy equipment.
UFO. Check out the UFO. It's way off in the woods. You can see the moon way over there.
I know, the one that done it. You dropped your mask. Yeah?
It's right there. This happened June 19th, 2021.
Don't you think it's strange how the internet took down all videos of NASA confirming the existence of aliens this week? Have you realized UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, start showing up whenever a country starts threatening another one with nuclear bombs or when they already in use? Since the war in Ukraine has began and more nuclear threats started popping out of Putin's and Joe's mouth, the more aliens have made themselves visible. NASA says that a solar storm will hit us in the next few months and will leave us without internet for months. Heard of Project Bluebeam? It's already began. Internet will be shut down for one of two reasons: a fake alien invasion or either a real one. NASA confirms that aliens are among us, and the Pentagon released footage of the Tic Tac UAP. Another strange thing is that SpaceX is designing a speedlight engine for humanity to go to Mars. What is a speedlight engine? An engine that allows you to travel at the speed of light, 3,000,000 kilometers per second, fast enough to go the moon in just 1 second. But the problem is going to that speed will create a time machine. But I'll explain that in another video. Since all these strange advanced things and nuclear threats has been going on around Earth, aliens have started popping up the more. Somewhere the higher up power on Earth that is in control of everything is planning something for every single one of us. But it's too soon to explain what will happen. If you want me to explain what this time machine is and where to look for UAPs, give a follow. Sooner or later, TikTok will remove this video. You don't have to share the video. Just inform everyone that something is going to happen and aliens definitely have something to do with it.
Hey, look, they can no longer come to the channel, and we didn't need the verification from the news channels and everything else from the government to say that these things were real. We already can see them. See, a lot of people have a problem with like identifying things that's happening in our reality, and that's like a mechanism that's built inside like some people's brain, like how people have split personalities and stuff like that. It's just a different way with dealing with like stresses and problems and stuff. They don't want to acknowledge that it is something real outside of the norm, and they're very uncomfortable. So therefore they, in their mind, they're gonna be like, oh, it's not real, even if it shows up on their doorstep, But, the real ones, man, we out here seeing it. We're not afraid. We know what's happening. We know what's coming, and we're prepared. That's the people that I'm rocking with. But look, let me know how y'all dealing with this situation, how people around y'all are dealing with this, disclosures and everything. Let me know in the comments how people are handling this. Are they ready for it or are they not? Amazing. You see what they trying to shoot at, huh? It's crazy. If you watched the last video, did you hear how that done among like battles and stuff, they would show up to blend in and whoop whoop whoop. Y'all see what's happening. You see the realness of what's happening. You see why a lot of the war zones out there are just flattened. Our technologies aren't just doing that, because that'd be a lot of radiation and stuff like that from all the bombs and fallout, right? So what else is being used out there to flatten these surfaces like that? You know what happened in like Hiroshima, Nagasaki and stuff, and they're still being affected by the radiations and stuff, cancers and everything. Do you think that the whole Ukraine is like that? No, there's different weapons that's being used, but it is what it is. We're gonna keep going though.
There it is. Look at it.
Oh yeah.
What is that?
Right there. Look at it.
I gotta back up or you won't see it take off. That's how fast it goes. It is crazy quick.
Am I under a UFO? It was like this all the way around. Remote viewing has been able to see what the reptilians actually can and can't do. The reptilians we have interacted with are highly telepathic and they have extreme capabilities for neural engagement. They are a warrior species. They fight. Moreover, they like to fight. Apparently, they were genetically engineered originally as a mercenary fighting force. They broke off, are now independent, but they kept that ability. They are highly intelligent, and they have very little time.
Message.
My first question to you right off the top, how close are we to seeing visual evidence, photos, videos? Americans have heard the claims, the whistleblowers' allegations of government UFO programs. We've heard from lawmakers like yourself, Senator Marco Rubio, but people are ready for visual proof. Where is it?
Yeah. Well, it's out there. If you'll go on YouTube and watch Tic Tac video, it's just Google it, Tic Tac video. They've had a special on 60 Minutes. It's been covered in some of the major news outlets, mainly the printed medium, not so much the visual medium like yourselves. And it basically shows a craft that they are chasing, that are Navy pilots. These are the best in the world, and it's audio and visual and video, and you hear them saying, these guys, they're just laughing because they can't keep up with them, and it looks like a little Tic Tac candy.
Okay, so it's Tic Tac, not TikTok. Just to confirm.
No, ma'am. Yeah,
okay.
Everybody always says, hey, these young people say, hey, boomer, it's not. Then I say,
yeah.
no, it's Tic Tac, like the candy.
Hey,
and my daughter has corrected me on that.
Yeah, hey, I'm not on TikTok, so I just wanted to make sure myself. Tell us more about your claims, sir, that the government has known about UFOs since the 1800s, that they can fly underwater. What are you basing those allegations off of?
Well, I'm basing them off of those pilots' videos that you've seen, and there's multiple occasions of that. And I've talked to multiple pilots, and these are the best pilots in the world. And you have to realize, well, even though they have so-called whistleblower protection from the military intelligence, and again, military intelligence is a whole lot like congressional ethics. It just doesn't exist. But if you talk to some of the best pilots in the world and they tell you that they've seen these objects, and then when they do report it, they get interrogated for like up to 8 hours, and they get a blemish on their record. So I've talked to pilots who've literally said, we've destroyed any evidence of these videos because we don't want to have to go through all that. We've seen it. We all talk about it. It's pretty common knowledge among some of the pilots in certain areas. We've had actually 13 near-miss encounters. And to think that, we've got a $50 million aircraft and some of the best pilots in the world who are risking their lives, why would they lie about it?
Right.
Honestly, all they're going to do is catch hell from their superiors, and this is ridiculous. And all I want is, I don't want to send the Pentagon another red cent, because that's what they're after. They see the public opinion, people like legitimate media like yourself are covering it. They're going to smell dollars. And, and honestly, the Pentagon loses over $1 billion a year in their audits, and we don't have the guts to do anything about it. We don't need to study it anymore. Just release the files. Just release the unredacted files.
I think a lot of Americans would agree with you on that. Even the Americans who think that David Grush and, the likes of him are credible, people are ready to see it. They want to see those files. Also, Congressman, Americans are already starting to question what the U.S. actually knows about alien life. And in a new poll from Redfield and Wilton Strategies, they found that 57% of respondents believe the government has more information than publicly shared. But is that necessarily a bad thing, given how sensitive and potentially dangerous this research seems to be?
Why is it dangerous?
Thank you, Tim. I swear, I'm sorry, I had to stop it. Why? Dangerous, exactly, bro. But look, man, I used to fly with these pilots all the time. I used to be away from home all the time flying with these pilots, bro. I used to do this, so, conversations is had.
Ma'am, they won't even release the Kennedy files on President Kennedy's assassination. And people have been, that's over 50 years. Anybody involved in that is dead. Ma'am, it is about power. It is about control. It is about the almighty dollar that they are trying to control. And that's all this is about. That's all this is about.
Yep.
Just release it. I'm not afraid of it. You go out at night and look at the stars, and the light from those stars literally left there before the time of Christ. That is the vastness of God's great universe, ma'am.
And
honestly, ma'am, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Congressman, one last question for you. Just a few seconds left. Should Americans be worried or no?
No, they should not. If they have this kind of technology, they could have done us in a long time ago, ma'am.
All right. Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you for your time.
Right. And you got to think, with the crashing of the dollar, why do you think so many things are happening around money? All the different countries turning their back on us because we do stuff to intimidate them. We drop other countries' standings with their money, and they don't like that. So now they're revolting against us, starting their own things, right? And then now the government is, cash at people. All these crypto billionaires are all of a sudden just dying and being unalived and stuff like that. It's crazy, man. Y'all got to pay attention. Just because it's not happening right in front of you don't mean that it's not happening at all. And we got to stop that whole moniker of, it's not happening to me and my family. Yeah, it's going to directly affect everybody. The government is not in control of us. We control the government. Y'all remember that. But look, let's keep going.
The full UFO bill text just dropped. Yo, check this out. If you watched my last video, you know that the Senate just announced on Friday, July 13th, that they're proposing legislation to basically go public about what the government knows about UFOs and bodies and craft. Here's the actual bill legislation. It's titled the Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act of 2023. Y'all, look at what's in this, but look at the actual text that's in this bill. So it starts out by laying out the purpose of the legislation and defining a few key terms, etc. So we see here, the federal government records concerning UAP should carry a presumption of immediate disclosure, and all records should be eventually disclosed to enable the public to become fully informed about the history of the federal government's knowledge and involvement surrounding UAP. UFOs, that's their new government name for it. They go into some definitions. So the first one we see that's interesting here is close observer, meaning anyone who's come to close proximity to unidentified anomalous phenomenon or non-human intelligence, which they go on to define later. And then they also define a controlled disclosure campaign, which is basically this process of going public with whatever this alleged information is. And a lot of people have been talking about this, but they make a clear distinction that we're not talking about U.S. black budget, we're not talking about the Chinese, we're not talking about the Russian, because they have this prosaic attribution, which means having a human, either foreign or domestic origin, and operating according to current, proven, and generally understood scientific and engineering principles and established laws of nature and non-attributable to non-human intelligence. So basically what they're saying is, we're not talking about things that have a prosaic attribution. This is specifically stuff that is outside of that definition, which they also define further later. It's also interesting they specifically define public interest as means the compelling interest in the prompt public disclosure of UAP records for historical and governmental purposes and for the purpose of fully informing the people of the United States about the history of the federal government's knowledge and involvement surrounding UAP. Interesting. More definitions. What are we actually talking about? Technologies of unknown origin. They define it as any materials or metamaterials, ejecta, crash debris, mechanisms, machinery, equipment, assemblies or sub-assemblies, engineering models or processes, damaged or intact aerospace vehicles, and damaged or intact surface, ocean, and undersea craft associated with UAP or incorporating science and technology that lacks prosaic attribution, what we just talked about earlier, or known means of human manufacture. We're not talking about black budget programs, y'all. So all of the rumors and allegations have been that there are these legacy programs that have existed for a long period of time. They define what a legacy program is. They say all federal, state, local government, commercial industry, academic, private sector endeavors to collect, exploit, or reverse engineer technologies of unknown origin or examine biological evidence of living or deceased non-human intelligence that predates the date of the enactment of this act. That's what a legacy program is. They then go on to define what they mean by non-human intelligence. The term non-human intelligence means any sentient intelligence, non-human life form, regardless of nature or ultimate origin, that may be presumed responsible for UAP or of which the federal government has become aware. They define it specifically in federal legislation for the first time. So what is this word unidentified anomalous phenomenon that they keep trying to use instead of UFO? They also define that as well. UAP means any object operating or judged capable of operating in outer space, the atmosphere, ocean surfaces, or undersea, lacking prosaic attribution due to performance characteristics and properties not previously known to be achievable based upon commonly accepted physical principles. UAP are differentiated from both attributed and temporarily non-attributed objects by one or more of the following observables. They define what we're talking about: instantaneous acceleration, absent apparent inertia; hypersonic velocities, absent thermal signatures or sonic shock waves; transmedium, meaning they can travel through air, space, and the ocean without any change in performance characteristics; positive lift, contrary to aerodynamic principles; anti-gravity, meaning it can float around without any kind of means of propulsion; and multispectral signature control. But wait, there's more. They also include anything with physical or invasive biological effects to close observers and the environment. And the term unidentified anomalous phenomenon, the umbrella term, includes the following previously described things: flying discs, flying saucers, unidentified aerial phenomenon, unidentified flying objects, and unidentified submerged objects. This is written in the language of this new bill and legislation. They then go on to list everybody in the federal government that is going to be subject to having to give up records. This is just a small portion of the list. And the list goes on. They also mention that no unidentified anomalous phenomenon record created by a person or entity outside the federal government shall be withheld, redacted, or postponed from public disclosure or be reclassified. They then talk about the new review board for how this is all going to be processed. The president will get to appoint 9 people to this board. That will have to happen within 90 days after the act is enacted. So 90 days after this goes live, those nominations are going to have to take place. The president will have to consider nominations from these various parties, including Senate people, Secretary of Defense, National Academy of Arts and Sciences, the American Historical Foundation. There's like a lot of people that have to be involved in this process. The review board also has subpoena power, meaning they can have hearings and call witnesses that have to legally show up, and they can also provide those witnesses with whistleblower protection so they don't have to worry about legal jeopardy if they talk about classified information. They're giving people immunity, y'all. Witness immunity. And towards the end, this is probably the craziest part. Disclosure of recovered technologies of unknown origin and biological evidence of non-human intelligence. The federal government shall exercise eminent domain, meaning they can go in and just take whatever they want, over any and all recovered technologies of unknown origin and biological evidence of non-human intelligence that may be controlled by private persons or entities in the interest of the public good. There is so much in here that I didn't even cover. If you guys want more, like, share, and comment, and let me know. And this is available online. It's 64 pages. You can read it yourself. I encourage everybody to go and actually read it yourself. Read it yourself. I think you'll be surprised.
Message.
The moon is bigger than it should be, apparently older than it should be, and much lighter in mass than it should be. It occupies an unlikely orbit and is so extraordinary that all existing explanations for its presence are fraught with difficulties, and none of them could be considered remotely watertight. And honest scientists will tell you they have no bloody clue where the moon come from, and it shouldn't, by physics, be there. A Russian professor of biochemistry did a lot of writing on this sort of stuff, and he said this, quite rightly: we cannot help but come to the conclusion that the moon by rights ought not to be there. The fact that it is one of those strokes of luck almost too good to accept. Small planets such as Earth with weak gravitational fields might well lack satellites. In general then, when a planet does have satellites, those satellites are much smaller than the planet itself. Therefore, even if the Earth has a satellite, there would be every reason to suspect that at best it would be a tiny world, perhaps 30 miles in diameter. But that is not so. Earth not only has a satellite, but it is a giant satellite, 2,160 miles in diameter. How is it then that that tiny Earth has one? Amazing. The best explanation for the moon is observational error. The moon doesn't exist, that scientist said. Another one from NASA: it seems easier to explain the non-existence of the moon than its existence. And then we get the hollow moon. This is what I'm saying, and others have said, is that it's a hollowed-out planetoid. In November 1969, the moon was hit by a lunar module to the equivalent of 1 ton of TNT. The shock waves built up, and NASA scientists said the moon rang like a bell. Maurice Ewing, a co-director of the seismic experiment, told the news conference, "As for the meaning of it, I'd rather not make an interpretation right now, but it is as though someone had struck a bell, say in the belfry of a church, a single blow, and found that the reverberation from it continued for 30 minutes. It got a bigger smack eventually, which I'll come to. Frank Press from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, said that for a rather small impact to produce an effect that lasted for 30 minutes was quite beyond the range of our experience. This is a guy called Gordon MacDonald. He said in the early 1960s, it would seem that the moon is more like a hollow than a homogeneous sphere. And this guy from MIT said the lunar orbiter experiments had vastly improved knowledge of the moon's gravitational field and indicated the frightening possibility that the moon might be hollow. Two Russian scientists from the Soviet Academy of Scientists wrote an article in 1970 in Sputnik magazine in Russia headed, "Is the moon the creation of an alien intelligence?" And all these years later, it indicates to the fact that they were right. What they point out, and others point out, is the outer surface of the moon is extremely hard and contains minerals like titanium. Moon rocks have been found to contain processed metals, including brass and mica, and the elements uranium-236 and neptunium-237 that have never been found to occur naturally. Uranium-236 is a long-lived radioactive nuclear waste and is found in spent nuclear fuel and reprocessed uranium. Neptunium-237 is a radioactive metallic element and a byproduct of nuclear reactors and the production of plutonium. Some lunar rocks have been found to contain 10 times more titanium than titanium-rich rocks on Earth. Titanium is used in supersonic jets, deep-diving submarines, and spacecraft. Dr. Harold Urey, the winner of the Nobel Prize for Chemistry, said he was terribly puzzled by the rocks from the moon and in particular their titanium content. He said the samples were mind-blowers and that he could not account for the titanium. The two Russian scientists said in their article, if a material had to be devised to protect a giant artificial satellite from the unfavorable effects of temperature from the cosmic radiation and meteorite bombardment, the experts would probably have hit upon precisely these refractory metals. Refractory metals are incredibly resistant to heat and wear.
Miss?
People are larger than those in the southern part of the world. You have children going to school, and they're seeing this map.
Right.
They're seeing a distortion.
Yeah.
Of size, of shape, of location, of importance. In order to use this map at all, you have to take this piece off here, and put it over here. And now you see, the United States is no longer in the middle of the map.
Right.
Now, I did this with a major record company in New York City, I think in 1970. And an older man stood up in the back of the room and said, now, Elliot, you've gone too far. I said, what's your problem? You can't do that with the map. I said, well, actually you can. He said, no, the United States isn't in the middle of the map anymore. I said, the United States never was in the middle of the map. You need to realize this depends on how you draw your map. And then I pointed this little fact out to him. South America is actually 9 times larger than Greenland.
Even though it doesn't really look like it.
No, it is. South America is actually 9 times larger than Greenland.
It's crazy.
Now, according to your social studies teachers, what is the equator? Halfway between the North Pole and the South Pole on this map would be right about here.
Right.
And that means that Iowa has a semi-tropical climate.
Yeah.
Well, you've been in Minnesota in the wintertime.
I've been in Iowa too. It's definitely
You know that it doesn't have a tropical climate. So you have to then introduce a real version of the map of the world. I think this is the one.
That's very good.
The Peters projection map. The sizes on this map are right. The shapes are distorted. Look at Greenland on this map. Right there. See it?
Yeah, it's really tiny.
See how small that is?
Right.
Look at it on the Mercator projection.
So why do they do that? I don't understand.
Why? Because the Pope commissioned Mercator to make a map that shows the spread of Christianity. So all the countries in which there are predominantly white people are larger than those in the southern part of the world, halfway between the North Pole and South Pole. Now, if you have children going to school and they're seeing this map,
right,
they're seeing a distortion.
Yeah.
Of size, of shape, of location, of importance. If they're looking at this map, they're seeing a distorted, shape distorted, but size and location and importance makes sense. This makes no sense.
Right.
On that map, Alaska is bigger than Mexico. On this map, Mexico is bigger than Alaska. And look at Canada on this map. Look at that thing. That much is map. Look at Canada on a properly constructed map.
Yeah.
Do you think that's important?
A world of difference, actually.
A world of difference. That's a good thought. Look at there. Look at South America and compare it to Greenland on this map.
Right. It's almost like we're teaching kids that we're bigger, we're better.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. That's exactly what this map is supposed to do.
Right.
What we have in this country and call education is indoctrination. We start at 3, we used to start at 5. From the northernmost point of Canada to the southernmost point of South America, all the people in here are Americans. North Americans, Central Americans, South Americans. These are all Americans. You can't put up a wall to keep Americans out because we're all Americans.
Quantum stealth.
Hey,
This amazing.
but ain't that the truth though? Like, that's why, like, you know, other countries have a hard time dealing with the personalities that come from over here. And, you know, it's a lot of my people too with this bigger than life attitude. Like, we just better than everybody. And I think that's kind of messed up. Well, not kind of, it is, you feel me? We go into other people's country being disrespectful, not knowing the cultures. We just really need to educate ourselves that we're not the most important. It's the collective, you know? I've traveled the world and I've seen these things, man, and it's crazy, man. You know, like, I get what other countries say, man. I see it, man. Once you step back and look at the bigger picture, we gotta self-identify and be in the understanding of like how things really are, and we gotta get to that. One thing we gotta do, man, is start speaking up and speaking the truth. And when we see these things, and don't let your kids go to school and be taught this BS. Educate your children, because they're indoctrinating them just like they did us. Why do you think that we grow up and we fight each other and we hate each other? It's because they taught us to. But yeah, let's get back to the video though. They taught us all of this.
Invisibility technology was created by Hyperstealth Biotechnology Corp. And has been dubbed a real-life Harry Potter invisibility cloak. The quantum stealth, as it's more commonly called, can obscure objects, making them appear invisible. The sheet is made of light-bending material and boasts the use of something called broadband invisibility. The technology could be used to hide anything from ships to vehicles to spacecraft.
I'm Guy Kramer, President and CEO of Hyperstealth Biotechnology Corporation, and in 2010 I figured out invisibility. Quantum stealth is a patent-pending light-bending material that works by bending the light so that only the background is visible and a target, such as a person, is removed from view when behind this material.
Cloak. Now imagine going to war with something that you can't see. Everybody is dressed in those garments, even down to the weapons and the bullets. Really look at the bigger picture, y'all, what this stuff can be used for. And if it's been created in 2010, imagine the advancements that's been taking place. I know what this plane is. I ain't even gonna hold you. I know exactly what that is. That's crazy.
Text. How about this? Can we go from the patterns of your brain when you're looking at an image to reconstructing the image? So the way this worked was they put human beings inside an fMRI machine. They had them look at images and figure out what the patterns are, like translate from image to brain patterns. And then, of course, they would hide the image. So this is an image of a giraffe that the computer has never seen. It's only looking at the fMRI data And this is what the computer thinks the human is seeing. Yeah. Now, to get state of the art, here's where the combinatorial aspects, why you can start to see these are all the same demo. To do this kind of imaging, the latest paper, the one that happened even after this, which is already better, uses stable diffusion, uses the thing that you use to make art. Like, what should a thing that you use to make art have anything to do with reading your brain? But of course, it goes further. So in this one, they said, can they understand the inner monologue, the things you're saying to yourself in your own mind? Mind you, by the way, when you dream, like your visual cortex runs in reverse, so your dreams are no longer safe. But we'll try this. So they had people watch a video and just narrate what was going on in the video in their mind. So there's a woman, she gets hit in the back, she falls over. This is what the computer reconstructed the person thinking. See a girl, looks just like me, get hit in the back, and then she is knocked off. So our thoughts, are starting to be decoded. Yeah. Just think about what this means for authoritarian states, for instance. Or if you want to generate images that maximally activate your pleasure sensor, anything else. Okay, but let's keep going, right? To really get the sense of the combinatorics of this. How about, can we go from Wi-Fi radio signals, sort of like the Wi-Fi routers in your house, they're bouncing off radio signals that work sort of like sonar. Can you go from that to where human beings are, to images? So what they did is they had a camera looking at a space with people in it. That's sort of like coming in from one eye. The other eye is the radio signals, so sonar from the Wi-Fi router. And they just learned to predict, this is where the human beings are. Then they took away the camera. So all the AI had was the language of radio signals bouncing around a room. And this is what they're able to reconstruct. Real-time 3D pose estimation, right? So suddenly AI has turned every Wi-Fi router into a camera that can work in the dark, specially tuned for tracking living beings.
Things that have never happened in the history of the universe are happening right now.
Hey, that really reminds me of Inception, right? That's crazy.
So what do you see this change as?
Well, they're extremely positive. We finally are getting our act together, and they're allowing things to move. The entire Earth is moving into another dimension. Another vibrations and frequencies of the whole Earth are changing to what's called the New Earth. And this is in the Bible, too, in the book of Revelations, when they talk about the new heaven and the new earth.
Yeah.
It's just that it's happening right now. But in order to move, our vibrations and frequencies of our own bodies have to change to match that of the Earth as it moves. See, the Earth is a living being, too, and it's moving into its next incarnation. It doesn't care if we go with it. We'd just as happy if we didn't go with it. We're like fleas on a dog.
Message, you feel me? Look, yo, the frequencies on this planet are definitely changing. Everything that we know it, man, all the stuff that we once knew will change. Just like the videos and the pictures that we get from the past, everything is not the same at all, right? You can look out here, it's not the same at all. So everything is constantly changing. What a time to be alive, though. If you for all my people that's in the church and stuff like that, y'all religions and stuff, go read those Bibles, man, and really see what's going on, and you can see it's happening right here, and it's mind blowing. The frequencies from the planet are changing. The solar radiation is coming. That's why sometimes they even take the readings from off a line, so because the readings are so high and they're so dramatically changing. If you pay attention to it like I do, they'll black out big blobs out of the Schumann resonance. Things are really happening. The solar radiation is hitting us. The frequencies are hitting us. It's changing, evolving. But man, let me know how y'all feel about that, man. Are you ready for change? What do you see is going to be in our future? Are you going to make the shift? Is there going to be a shift? Or is it just, you know, the earth is just gonna get hotter and then we all gonna get baked, and then, you know what I'm saying, we just gonna be baked chocolate and white people, white people, you know, we got the Asian people, we just gonna be baked goodies for the aliens. I don't know, man. Well, y'all let me know how y'all feel about these videos, man. But look, make sure y'all put in the comments down below so people, you know what I'm saying, can once see what we're talking about. Those are the hieroglyphs down there in the comments, man. Just let, you know, keep it positive, you feel me? And we in this thing together, man. Like, that's what we gotta learn. It ain't always about fighting. We can fight, you know what I'm saying, and then, you know what I'm saying, love on each other after that. It don't have to go to the death and stuff like that. We ain't gotta go that deep, you feel me? We gotta get back to really being men and women on this planet that we inhabit, you know what I'm saying? Throw them blows if you're gonna do anything. Don't be keyboard warriors, you feel me? Meet up, sock it out, you know what I'm saying, and have a beer or something. Nah. You feel me? Loud, but look, I enjoy doing these videos with y'all, man. I love y'all, and like I always say, man, spread love, because there's too much hate in this world. Love you guys. See you in the next video, and I'm out. Share these videos, man, for the algorithm, though. Real talk. Let's get it.